Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Cindy here from CLB Craft Creations with another card project for you in our holiday card series for 2016. This is going to be using the Candy Cane Christmas set, and I absolutely love the set. The only thing I wish is that it actually had die cuts or a punch that went with it so that I could cut out these things much easier, but they are actually really easy to fussy cut out. However, we're only going to be using a punch for the sentiment today, so we're going to be doing some background stamping. So go ahead and join me and we'll get started. For this card, I'm using a crumb cake base, which is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then we have a real red layer. We have a real red layer, which measures 4 by 5 1/4. And then we have our Whisper White layer, which measures 3 3/4 by 5. And so that's the piece that we're going to actually do our stamping on. And then we have a piece of Designer Series paper. This is the Candy Cane Lane Designer Series paper. And this is the one with the little candy canes and the hearts. I think that's super cute. And then we do have a piece of scrap Whisper White to do our sentiment and punching on. And then I have a material saving technique for you to finish off this card. I do have another piece for the inside, the Whisper White for the inside as well, but I'm just going to focus on the front of the card for you today. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take my piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to be using Real Red and Crumb Cake inks today. Actually, we can probably go ahead and just stamp. We can get our sentiment stamped. Okay, I'm just using again the Crumb Cake ink, and it's the Wishing You a Sweet Season. And I'm going to stamp that in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to punch it out anyway. And I'm using a 1-inch punch. Okay. That out of the way. And we can actually set that aside for right now. So back to our piece of Whisper White. I'm going to take the candy cane and then the little string bow and just do some random stamping. So we've got our Real Red ink. And then just, and you really only need to do this top and bottom portion. You can leave the middle blank because you're going to cover it up with your Designer Series paper. So I just want to randomly stamp this image so it's all over my card base. And just twist and rotate so it is definitely completely random. Make sure you stamp some off. I'm just going to get a little tiny piece there just to add some color, and maybe something there too. Okay, and then that is actually it for my Real Red. I'll go in now with the tiny little strings, and again the same thing. You want to go completely random, different directions, some on, some off. If it's easier, just twist your paper. Have fun with it. And you can certainly do this with the different images if you wanted to do something different. I'm going to actually just stamp a little bit of bow up here. So I've got something up there. Okay, that's all of our stamping. I'm going to take my piece of Designer Series paper, just add some adhesive to it. Make sure you've got your images going the correct direction. And then just center that in the middle. Okay, now this piece is going to layer onto our real red piece, but the material saving piece that I wanted to show you is if you take your punches and you actually run them all the way up to the center of your, so you make them flush in and then punch out. Now I've just saved some of this paper and I've gone far enough up that when I do my standard layering, it's going to be hidden. So I didn't waste all that paper. And no one's going to see that big hole in the middle because when I go to put it down, I'm going to layer it on top of the card base and then I'm going to put my other piece on top of it. So I know when you're making a bunch of cards, the last thing you want to do is waste paper. So there's our real red piece. Get this out of the way. And we'll just layer that centered in the middle of our card base. And just take this, and again, make sure it's going in the right direction. I'm notorious for putting things on in the wrong direction. So learn from my mistakes. Okay, now we're going to take the piece that we stamped and we're going to attach that to our scallop circle. Now this was a 1-inch circle. This was actually a 2 1/4 inch scallop. And that's just going to layer nicely right on top. Now these, you would probably use, if you're using current stuff, then you'd probably use your layering circles and frame, or circles and scallops for that. The scallop circles are just a little bit smaller. Actually, they're a lot smaller than this big one. I liked this big scallop. So if any of you out there still have your punches and want to bring them out, there you go. You could easily do this with the framelits as well if you have those and don't have the punches. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop this up on dimensionals. And I'm going to do 2. One at the top, one at the bottom, just to help keep it from sagging. Then just center that up in the middle of the card. And then a final touch, and you could leave it like that, but the final touch is I am adding a bow. This is actually the new metallic twine that's in the holiday catalog, and it comes in a 2-pack, so you get this as well as the real red, just the real red plain twine. So I went ahead and tied it off camera. It's a little bit finicky just because that metallic in there kind of makes the twine twist a little bit when you're trying to tie it, and I didn't really want to be fumbling on camera trying to tie this. It's still not how I wanted it, but it is what it is. And I'm going to put this one down here at the bottom, but you could put it at the top. You could really put it anywhere you want it, and it'll look pretty. And of course I want to fuss with this, but I'm not going to on camera. Okay, and so there is your finished card. And it would be really cute too if you actually took your envelope and you put some candy canes on the back flap of your envelope. That would look really pretty to just kind of coordinate with your card. So there is our second card in our holiday card series for 2016. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.